Hello and welcome to Take You to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. I am your host, JP Jopos, from the two-man power trip of wrestling. Of course, joining me is the star of the show, the former WWE World Tag Team Champion, 8-time Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team Champion, and one of the greatest trainers ever in the history of the business, the Doctor of Desire himself, Dr. Tom Prichard. Dr. Tom, how are you doing today, sir?
John, I'm doing pretty good, but you just froze up on me for a minute, and it could definitely be my connection, but I don't know if you caught on to that or not. Did I freeze up on you?
Yes, for just a second, yes.
Okay, so there might be some things going on in the atmosphere. You do know Congress did have a what would they call it, session on UFOs this week, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well
What's up with that?
then,
What's going on with that?
you know as well as I do. I can't talk about it on the podcast because
Right,
both of us have been warned that we need to keep our mouths shut about the UFO situation,
right,
especially here in Knoxville.
right.
And I know
That's true.
you guys definitely have aliens in New Jersey up there. I've seen them, I've talked to them, I've been around them. Yes
Yeah.
or no?
Yes, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So anyway,
Hey, maybe they
uh,
need that space force. You never know, right?
hey, you never know. But one thing I do know is we're sending more and more stuff to Mars, and they found a doorway on the surface of Mars that they
I think that Tom froze for a second, or am I
I am too.
frozen?
I was frozen too.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I'm sorry. But what was it called?
The
Uh,
gateway, the forbidden door.
no, the Independence Day. Yeah, the door on Mars. But I mean, they've made a lot of movies about aliens and UFOs and stuff like that too. So who's to say what's really out there?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been over 30 years since actual people have talked about that. So yeah, call me crazy,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Our buddy Ibsen says hello. And how did you like South Jersey? I know you were in South Jersey last week.
I had a great time last week in South Jersey and had a great steak. Went out with Denise and Darren with super crazy dojo. They had a nice turnout. We had about over 20 guys come out, which is always good to see. And they treated me very well. They treated the guys very well. It was a well run seminar. Had a great time. Loved South Jersey.
Good stuff. Thank
Really
you,
did.
Ibsen.
Yeah.
Interesting question to start off the bat here from Daniel. Is Mr. Pritchard going to write an autobiography?
Okay. First of all, Daniel, get the T out of Prichard, put it on your back, prowrestlingtees.com. Thank you very much. We have tried, man. But here's the deal. And this is you'll understand this or you won't. When I started writing this, I did it with a guy in England, and we were doing a Skype. And then somebody else just asked me about doing this too. I don't know that my story is that interesting to anybody else. So we'll have to wait and see. I have to be wanting to talk about it. And the fella, Mitch from Alabama, who just started talking about this, I told him, I said, I have to want to talk. And there's times I don't want to talk. Like right now, I really don't want to talk, but I have to because I feel like I have a commitment and I would never skirt my commitments, John. So anyway, who knows? I won't write it. I tried to write it before too. I got past the second page and said, I don't think I need to talk about this, or I don't want to relive this. That's kind of how I feel about it. I know my brother, just on another topic, and since we are asking about it, I know my brother was having a book done, and the fella died. Guy that was writing the book, I can't remember
Wow.
his name. But he wrote some other books too, and he was in Texas, and he passed away. So, so
Wow.
I don't want to add that curse on anybody either.
Damn. I was just talking to Jerry Briscoe about you and Bruce and the validity of Bruce's toughness and his karate championships. And Jerry has obviously been to Bruce's house. He was saying that, maybe you could pay for those trophies. He was, jokingly, but he was kind of saying, I don't know if he's really a karate
On that
champion or
too.
not.
Hold on. You froze up on me there. Maybe what?
I don't know if Bruce really is a karate champion, Jerry Briscoe was saying.
Oh, Well,
Because you could
I
pay
know
for
he's.
those trophies, right?
Oh, well, you had to pay an entry fee, of course. But every trophy I won, every belt I won, every championship I ever won was a shoot. So there you go.
Nice. Ibsen said you could talk in the book about Smoky Mountain, ribs, training
Right.
wrestlers, etc. You have a lot to talk about. Everyone
I
wants to
do.
soak it in like a sponge. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. See, I don't know if I have to be completely honest and completely forthright. There's a lot of things when I think about it, it makes me cringe, and it brings up the past.
Yeah, you got
Um,
to dredge up bad memories. Yeah. Or
yeah, and
drudge up. Yeah.
I'm really not in that place right now to want to drudge up memories. It takes a while too. When I did it with James Dixon, was the guy before who actually wrote it, and I got to a point with him where we got up. Oh, we're freezing up tonight. Why?
Yeah. Crazy. I don't know. I got good
Okay.
connection over here. Man, it might be
Anyway,
yours.
long story short, there's a lot I could talk about, but a lot that I really don't want to talk about and really don't want to remember. So there you go. I mean, pardon me. Um, I if I was like I got Ron Starr's biography, Ron Starr's book by Rock Rims, and I still have to read it. I have to read the rest of it. I'm about a quarter of the way through, and I know some of Ron's story. And if I haven't got to the California part yet, but that's where I was around him, and I don't I don't know, man. No, I don't have any intention of doing autobiography right now, but it depends how I might feel like an hour from now. You never know.
Nice. Have you ever heard of FWC Wrestling from Samuel? He said we never answered the question. I don't even know what is FWC Wrestling.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not quite so sure. Florida or flies with crotches? I don't know. Florida Wrestling of Champions? I
Maybe he
really don't.
means FCW. Maybe.
Maybe FCW.
Yeah.
I do not
Samuel,
know. But
what is the question about FCW? Or if is it
or
FCW? Yeah.
FWC. Yeah, I
Hmm.
really don't know what that is, but I'd be willing to take a stab at it.
I know
Um,
we've mentioned this before, but guys in the Hall of Fame, Mike D. What about Demolition going in the Hall of Fame? Axe, Smash, and maybe even Crush. I
well,
think
I
we've
think
mentioned this before. It's great that they're not in.
we talked about them last week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I certainly just think they deserve. I don't know when they're going in, but we'll see.
I know a buddy of mine runs the Demolition Fan Club. I think it's on
Oh wow!
80s wrestling.com. Yeah, you can join the Demolition Fan Club. I think it's a pretty decent price. You get a whole bunch of autographs and a picture that Tony Atlas, your buddy Tony Atlas, actually drew of
Oh
Demolition. So,
well, do you remember the days of the fan clubs in the back of the magazines?
oh, yeah. Hell
Okay,
yeah.
see,
Yep.
yeah. So that was kind of cool back then. You had pen pals and stuff like that, and the wrestling magazines were the internet and the Facebook and stuff at that time. Didn't it, you know? We didn't have laptops and computers. Florida Championship Wrestling is FCW, not
What was the question?
FWC.
Yeah.
Huh?
What was the question about Florida Championship Wrestling? I don't know.
I don't either. But it was FCW, not FWC, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, we that was developmental. Then there was CWF Championship Wrestling from Florida. Yeah, Leon, you used to have pen pals. Yeah, that was the way a lot of people
Yeah.
met and changed, sent pictures, programs, stuff like that. It was getting. Do you remember Ron Dobrats by any chance?
Doesn't ring a bell now.
Before the Wrestling Observer, but it was the same kind of content, and it had professional wrestler Larry Shreves still play. Oh, very cool. But Larry Shreve was suspended, and they said his professional name was Abdullah the Butcher. That was the first time I saw that in Ron Dobrats advertising back in the magazines. So there was a lot of cool stuff back then.
Yeah.
programs and results, and people who send you pictures from Florida and all over the place. So,
Heavenly
Heavenly
Bodies.
Body.
Great shout out. Damn, I love those Heavenly Bodies, especially you and
Uh,
Jimmy Del Rey.
John, I can never really tell when you're being serious because that sounds like such a ludicrous thing to say with the Heavenly Body. Because at times I just goes back to writing the book. At times you're going, why in the hell did I do it that way? But then again,
I know. I was just remember I was telling you about FTR. They were saying they copied some stuff from the Heavenly Bodies. So
I didn't know that. I thought they did the Midnights. They grew up on the
they no
Midnights.
they said they were taking stuff from you guys too.
Well, we stole from Midnights too, so there it's a
Yeah.
double dip.
Yeah.
But no, I dug the Heavenly Bodies. I'm glad to say, and I appreciate that. That's from the UK, so very
Samuel
cool.
said, "What happened to it, and where did it go?" I think NXT came about and
Yes,
kind of.
NXT came about. They got rid of they fired my ass, and they fired Jerry Rivers, and they fired some people that I didn't even know. They fired whatever. And that's a Hank Williams Jr. song, by the way. That Tommy
Who
Rich and everybody. Huh?
who
Who? Hank Williams Jr.
who was a huge wrestling fan?
Oh, sorry.
Huge wrestling fan. Yeah.
See, I jumped the gun again. It's
Yeah.
been one
Yeah.
of those nights. You are
I know he
correct.
was buddies with Dusty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
uh,
Jerry Briscoe. Yeah.
yeah, no doubt. So there you have it. They
And some guy
just
named Jack Briscoe, whoever that is, whoever Jack Briscoe was.
I've heard of him once or twice. So anyway,
What's going on here? Matt Bourne, Doink, is he Hall of Fame material? I would say yes, no doubt about it. I know your old buddy Matt Bourne.
well, yeah, I certainly think his talent in the ring would deserve a Hall of Fame induction. I just don't know if that would happen because of his outside the ring exploits.
Yeah.
No disrespect, but you know, I was in Japan with Matt too, and so yeah, I certainly think he's his in ring stuff, but then Matt was Matt.
Yeah, he's
And
not.
yeah.
So let's get to the topic at hand. Kane, Glenn Jacobs, your cohort there at the JPWA, the Jacob Prichard Wrestling Academy in Knoxville. When did you first meet Kane?
I believe I first met Kane in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And he was just teaming up with Al Snow, and we were just about to go with WWE full time. So I think the next time I saw him was when we came back for some shots, and so yeah, it had been 94, 95, whenever he and Al came in as a team. And then from there, we saw each other sporadically. And then when he came to WWE, obviously, when he got his tryout, we were there. So, yeah, since around 94, 95. Or no, we were there in 92, correct?
We were there earlier, but he didn't get there until like 94.
Okay. So when he got there, that's when we met up again.
When you first saw him, what did you think? Like, oh, this guy's got potential. 6'11", 300 pounds, and he can move.
Certainly, everybody did. Everybody said that. You just knew that if he had a clue. You could tell he the way he talked, the way he walked, he was just green. And I think when Jim Cornette brought him in to work with Undertaker in Louisville, Undertaker's looking at him going, yeah, we can make some money. So, and of course, like everybody else, went through the gimmicks, and he was a Christmas creature in Memphis, and the dentist and Diesel and stuff like that. So he went through a lot of the same frustrations people go through when they first start out and are trying to find out who to listen to and try to do it. Try to do the right thing. Throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall and keeping what sticks. But yeah, I think I certainly thought, yeah, this guy could definitely be a player. if he knows how to play, if he knows how to play the game. You get in there and learn, and he did. He became one of the two top guys, gimmicks in the business. So did pretty good for himself, I think.
Really, 95, January of 95, he makes his debut in Smoky Mountain. It's probably when you kind of first meet him. Really
Probably.
doesn't go to WWF until 95, really, but we'll get into it with the Isaac Yankem
Okay.
gimmick. But Superstar or Super Bowl of Wrestling in Smoky Mountain in Knoxville, of course, was against The Undertaker. And that was really his like coming out party, I think, because that's like, you get on Undertaker's radar, nothing but good things.
Oh, no doubt. So I guess it was Knoxville. I thought it was Louisville. Once again, it's been a long time. But yeah, I know when Taker saw him, I'm sure he just said, "Whoa, this guy definitely has potential." And my God, what matches they could have, and it proved to be true later on. So yeah, he trained. Glenn actually trained with Malenko, Boris Malenko, and Dean and Joe, and in Tampa. So that was kind of cool, and he enjoyed it. They let him stay at the house, and he was learning the ropes from the right people, and eyes got on him, and he got an opportunity and went full bore with it.
Regarding Kane, did Corny bring him into the WWF?
Well, I don't believe he brought him in, but he certainly was a conduit with that, because he was running Smoky Mountain, and of course he would tell Vince and everyone about Glenn. But they were watching, and they knew, and we're always on the lookout for big guys like that. I'm sure Taker went back and told them too. So Jim inadvertently or indirectly certainly brought him in, but it was more, hey, let's see what this guy has.
I know it's like the old Hogan line, but he sees a guy that has potential and he likes him, like he sees the Giant playing basketball or whatever it was, a celebrity basketball thing. He's like, I can make money with this guy. Undertaker probably said the same thing. Yeah, I can make money with this guy.
Of course. Yeah, and that was what it was, and it still is, or it should be. But yeah, when you were out there and just happen to see somebody who looks larger than life, or who could be larger than life, why not? And Glenn was definitely that. You can't teach somebody how to be 6'11". You really can't. But and you can't teach anybody how to be. Well, you can. You can teach people how to play the game, but you can't teach people how to be smart. I mean, you got to be smart to listen to people tell you what to do, and you got to know who to tune in and who to tune out, because not everybody's going to give you your best interest, or going to have your best interest at heart. So, but it was like everybody else, man, just a learning process. But I do believe when Jim Cornette saw Glenn for the first time, he definitely, in his head, because he knows, Jimmy's a smart guy. In his head, he probably said, "Hey, this guy certainly is a top guy and looks the part, is the part. He's authentic. Let's just see what he can do." And how crazy is it that you get a gimmick eventually after you've been through some less than decent ones, where you're in a mask, bodysuit, and you can't talk? How do you how does that work? Well, you got to do it with body language. You got to do it where people say, "Man, this is, you got the Undertaker's younger brother who burned the house down," or whatever it was, and that's got to be Kane. And great, I mean, all the circumstances surrounding his debut. That was the day, Brian Pillman was found in the hotel room dead, and they still go on with a match, and it's Hell in the Cell and the Undertaker, and so it kind of worked out good.
Funny question here from Big Fish: is Kane a Trumper? Just following his politics, I don't think so. Just because he's more of a libertarian, and I don't think I know they kind of lean conservative, but I don't think they like Republicans. I don't think.
Well, is that Kane the devil's favorite demon, or is that Kane as in candy cane? Because
it's spelled obviously.
It's spelled with a C. We're talking about Kane.
Yeah.
So anyway,
obviously,
so that answers that question by itself.
But jokey question, but just following his politics, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, he's never said whether he is or isn't to me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So when is Kane from Matt R? When is Kane giving Dr. Tom the keys to Knoxville? That's actually a pretty good question. I kind of curious about that myself.
Well, you would have to ask him that question, and I don't know that he would or why he would. But you'd have to ask him that question because I have no idea. It's not on my books right now, not on my, not on my calendar. But if he decides, if he decides to give me the keys to Knoxville, I'll just point me in the direction of the keyhole, and I'll unlock whatever I need to unlock with those.
I always find that great though. Like when Jerry Lawler gets the key to the city, he's
Mhm.
like I love that kind of stuff. The real notoriety
Yeah,
for
it's
the
great. I mean,
wrestler.
it's all good. It's good stuff, man. It really is. So uh it's we're going I don't even want to say that. But we're going to Ringgold this week.
Oh, Georgia.
Yes. So there's a few people getting inducted into the Ringgold Hall of Fame.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Nice. I like that.
Sure. There you go. But it's yeah, I think it's the Ringgold Hall of Fame. I'm not sure. So while I'm not getting the keys to Knoxville this weekend, I am going to Ringgold with the Nature Boy Paul Lee, who I'm sure you know. Uh, and,
Yes.
yeah, I love Paul. You know what? Honest to good, there has to be more like that.
I
There
love
has.
those old school guys like that. I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying. He
yeah, I
is a
love those
bit,
guys.
but he is doing so great. He is a businessman. He's got the Circus Tent Arena. Then he has a restaurant like 5 miles down the road. I was there last time, last year, and he has a great setup. Nice building. Adam Baum was there last time. Mr. Hughes,
Wow.
Moose. Gosh, a bunch of old school guys were there signing Bagwell. No, Bagwell couldn't. This is when Buff got in the wreck
Oh, he
and
broke his arm. Yeah.
broke. Yeah, all this stuff. All this stuff. So this weekend, the Hall of Fame in Ringgold. It's not the keys in Knoxville. It's not the WWE Hall of Fame, and I'm sure it's even better because I don't know if it's even better, but it's kind of nice. People going in the Hall of Fame there.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
yeah.
Glenn is more Ron Paul. I think he means is it Rand or is it Ron?
No, that's wrong.
Than Trump. Oh, it is Ron. Okay.
Maybe it is Rand. I'm sorry, but no. He could be talking about his dad.
Yeah. Either one. Yeah.
Either one. Yeah, for real.
Interesting.
And I would like to know. Whoa! I want to know how he knows he's more like Ron Paul.
Yeah.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find that out. Yeah.
Exactly.
What did Kane think about Isaac Yankov's gimmick? Did he ever mention anything to you about it? Because obviously he comes in WWF, he wrestles Undertaker, but they give him a crappy gimmick. And I know Kane and Undertaker have talked about this before publicly. Like Undertaker's like, just take it. You're getting in the door. Just
Getting
take it
in the door. I get it. But I don't think he liked it either. But then he's come to accept the fact that not only was it a horrible gimmick, but they made an action figure out of it, and he's getting money off that too. So he's like, all right, I didn't like the gimmick, no, but I like the fact that they're making something out of this gimmick, and I'm getting paid for it now. So I don't think he liked it. I've been in that spot too, but not like him by any stretch of the imagination. Just didn't have. I had a gimmick I didn't care for, but I don't think he cared for it. I really don't.
I remember Shockmaster. Remember Fred Ottman?
How could you forget?
So they made the figure, but in the box they have him upside down.
Of course,
and it was like a rare figure, and he loved it because he got a bunch of them, and they were worth a couple hundred a piece. They were really rare, so he was making money. He was signing them. I mean, he killed it. Yeah.
So I mean, you got to look at it from that point of view. Have you? I've asked you this before. I think maybe I'll ask you one more time. Have you ever seen the? I think it's 30 minutes clip. Max Landis wrestling isn't wrestling. Where they have the Shockmaster in there, takes the bump. Look at the see, it remains. It remains.
Yes.
So,
you can literally never forget it. It's so good.
That's great.
Kane comes off as a nice guy, but has Dr. Tom ever seen him angry?
Yeah. So
Do
I've seen
tell.
him. No, no, I'm not because I don't know how to describe it, but I've seen him angry. I don't know how to even say it. I don't even know how to get into it because it's not. I've everybody's been angry. I mean, so use your imagination.
Oh, here we go. Ron is the dad. Rand is the current senator. Okay, I
Right,
goes get. I don't know. I get him confused, but um, he's met Glenn
right,
before. He doesn't know well,
yeah,
but he's met. Okay, all right.
right. Well, that's what I said. Ron's his dad, and Rand is the
Okay.
guy who's now current senator. So he was talking about Ron, but Ron Paul is Ron Paul is the same. Um,
Are they both libertarians? The Pauls? I think Rand is libertarian, right? And obviously Glenn is.
yeah, I believe they are. I believe you are correct. So I don't know.
Dave Cole. Hey guys, Dave Cole always has good stuff. Hope all's well. Enjoy you both, Dr. Tom and John. Great stories. Thank you, Dave. Dave always has good stuff.
Mhm.
Good evening from Franklin, Ohio. Go Bucks.
Dwayne Norvell. Okay. Well, I like Franklin, Ohio too.
You almost thought that was Norvell Austin. You almost
I
got
did.
yeah, you were
I was
yeah.
going there. Sure, I was.
Same thing.
But
I was like, wait, did Norvell Austin? Oh my god, I
no, no,
gotta
no.
look at that.
Yes.
How do you feel about, or how did Kane feel about fake Diesel? You were still there at that point, obviously. You were training guys at this point when
Yep.
he becomes. What did
Yeah.
he think about fake Diesel?
Once again, it was. He's never mentioned this to me, but this is what I would think. This is just my opinion, but I don't know that that was another gimmick he was very comfortable with because you had Diesel and Razor over in WCW, and you know the implication and what they were trying to do was I don't know that he was really digging that either, but you'd have to ask him that question. I think once he found it and once he got intertwined with the Undertaker, as everybody knows, that was it, and all the others were just a precursor to what he was about to be and about to do. You can't hold somebody like that down, especially when you have a guy like the Undertaker on your side. What a better place, or I don't know of a better place to be than um, come out as the Undertaker's brother. Wow, not bad, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You have Paul Bearer and the whole scenario. You have Kane versus Abel, although it was Kane versus Taker and all that stuff. So um, I'm sure he thought it was great once he got there.
Speaking of Kane, did Bruce name his son after Kane?
Yes, he did. He has always liked the name Kane, and he gave Kane the name Kane. Yeah, the Undertaker was Kane the Undertaker when he started. So
Yeah.
that's been something Bruce has loved his whole life. Well, I don't know about his whole life, but he liked the name.
Not technically named after it. So he named Kane Kane. He named Glenn Jacobs Kane, and he named his son
Uh-huh.
Kane. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
What's
he
up with
did.
that name? Is he a big fan of Kane and Abel?
Well, once again, just so I don't speak out of line, you'd have to ask him that. But I know
Oh,
he liked the name Cable or Cable. He loved the name Cable. And then he thought, well, that sounds kind of crazy. So he's going to change it to. No,
is he a big X Men fan? Because Cable
I
was a
don't
great
know.
comic book character.
Was
Yeah,
he?
yeah.
No, that was just me trying to make up some stuff in between
He was
to
a
get.
mutant time traveler. He was great.
Well, who
Yeah,
isn't a mutant
huh,
time traveler about
yeah.
2:30 in the morning and you have to leave and go back to the hotel? So come on. But I don't know. He did name his son after Kane. He liked the name Kane for a long time and he made it known. So that's the perks you get, I guess.
Yes.
Pensacola in the house.
Yes. We talked about it
Excellent.
a few weeks ago.
Yes,
The
we did. And I,
hottest rats from Pensacola. Yes.
come on now, how uncouth can you be? Just one second, mister. But but I actually lived in Gulf Breeze, which was 10 minutes, whatever the gym was, name, and then 10 minutes from the beach. So uh, if I could only go back, I
Kane was
definitely would.
Unabomb. Yes, that is
Yes, he
true.
was.
And
Unibomb.
yes. Wasn't Undertaker's? Yes, we just said it. Undertaker's first name was Kane the Undertaker at first.
Yes.
Did Bruce ever kind of say why they got rid of the Kane part and just made him the Undertaker? They never. Vince just didn't like it.
No, we never really talked about it, but I can just assume that it was better just the Undertaker, and that was the feeling at that time. So I don't think it was that much of a controversial thing. I think it was just one of those things that you start out here and then you wind up there.
Barbara was saying yes. Bruce did come up
Yes.
with that. That is definitely very true. Who had the idea of Glenn being Kane? Was the idea thrown to another wrestler, or was Glenn the only man for it?
I think Glenn was earning his stripes while he was there as Isaac Yankem and Diesel and stuff like that. So I think you had him there. He had a great attitude, and I think he got along well with Taker, and they hit it off right off the bat. So I again, I don't know specifics. I keep clarifying that, but I'll make it up as I go, I guess. But I would think that Glenn and Glenn and Mark, the Undertaker, uh, became pretty good friends on the road. And when this angle came up, he was at the right place at the right time. That's what I would assume, and that's what I would
Yeah.
think. Yeah,
Imagine how like salivating he must have been. Like just thinking like, okay, Isaac Yankem. Oh, God, I'm an evil dentist. Fake Diesel. I'm copying the guy over on the other program that's
yeah,
killing us. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
his old gimmick is killing us. And
And
then
then
Kane comes
yeah,
out. Yep.
yeah. So I mean, I think probably during that time he might have been discouraged. He might have thought that way. He might have just said to hell with it all, uh, and I think someone probably sat him down and said, "Look, this is the way it is, and this is what you need to do." Because not everybody knows that, and somebody has to smarten you up, and you have to be smart enough to take the advice or leave it alone. So yeah, that was that's a great story. It's a great way to follow the trail. You know, you start with this shit gimmick. We're going to give you something. Not always going to work, but you do the best with what you got, and you keep coming back, and uh, people watch you and see how you react in the locker room, backstage, in the ring, on the road. So, and Glenn was destined to be a top guy, no matter what. He just like he was destined to do what he's doing now as the Knox County mayor. I mean, he's doing a great job.
Yes, Christmas creature. Doc Tom mentioned it.
Yeah,
Bruiser Mestino. That's true.
yeah,
Wrestled and jobbed out to Sting in WCW as a Bruiser Mestino, oddly enough, in '93. So
yeah. Everybody
interesting.
jobbed out to Sting in '93. So
Well, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
What did you think of Corporate Kane? Was that close to Glenn Jacobs in real life from Johnny?
No, well, I think Glenn knows how to wear a suit. No, knows how to make it look good. And I believe that was his transitional period. Anyway, he was thinking about politics then, probably, and I don't believe corporate Kane was necessarily Glenn in real life in his mannerisms, but it might have been certainly an extension of Glenn looking down the road and having ideas to wearing a suit and becoming an executive somewhere. And he had an insurance company. He had oh gosh, other businesses here in Knoxville, and became a successful small businessman. He and his wife Crystal. So he was wearing a suit during the day. He was an executive during the day, and then his interest in politics just got a little itchy. and he he scratched it, and he worked hard to get there. He beat the pavement. He went out and knocked on people's doors, and he was genuine. When people met him, they're seeing Kane knocking on their door, and then he talked to him, and he was intelligent, and he won. So that was Glenn in real life, knocking on doors and talking genuinely to people, not trying to play a part, not trying to be a BS politician, but actually genuinely talking to people, listening to what they had to say, and doing the best he could with with all that information, and did a great job in debating the candidates he was on stage with. So
Did you only wrestle him once? That's all I could find was Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Remember when we had him on last year? He was saying it too. He's like, I think I've only wrestled you once. It was a four corners elimination tag match. Heavenly Bodies, the Thugs, Al Snow Unabomb, and the Headbangers. That was 8/11/95 in North Carolina. It's the only match I could find that you're in with Kane.
probably so. There never would have been. I mean, we weren't in Smoky Mountain at the same time. He and Al was. And then by the time he got there, you said 95?
Yeah.
94.
95,
Okay, so
yeah.
95, I was with Chris Candido at that stage.
No, you're still Heavenly Bodies. And then eventually you would, yeah. Yep. Candido was more towards 96.
Okay.
This is summer of 95, yes.
Well, okay, so I started
you're
training
like floating back and forth.
Yeah. Okay, so 96. So probably just at one time. But there really wouldn't been a place or an occasion for it to happen. He was a single. We were still tagged in either way. And so I started training guys in August of 96. So that's when I kind of stepped away.
Steve St. John.
Prior to that, huh?
From Steve St. John, Dr. Tom's thoughts on Kane's 24/7 championship reign.
One of the greatest championship reigns ever. I think of the time that Rogers beat O'Connor or Sammartino beat Rogers, Funk and Briscoe, Harley and Funk, yeah, Jack and Harley. The list goes on and on. What I can compare it to, incredible.
That's so funny. I mentioned to Jerry, I said, "Hey, you remember when Dory Funk got in that accident on the farm?" He goes,
"Oh, did you?"
He said, "Where's the police report? Where's any scratches? Any proof of an accident?"
By God, what Jerry say?
Yeah.
Did Jerry?
He was saying, he's like, I don't know if I believe it. It got to where it needed to be eventually, with Harley winning and then Jack beating Harley, and then Jack eventually beats Dory in Dory's chase to regain the title. So it kind of all worked out. But at that time, I know they were pissed.
I was there at that time. I was in Houston at that time. It was a. I didn't know it at the time, but as I got to, I was 13, whatever at that time, and see, that's where we talk about what the real part of wrestling. It's not in the ring so much; it's the outside manipulations that get you, and that was the game. So, and I love the Funks. I grew up with the Funks. I still have so much respect for all of them, but it just, when you hear the stories and know how it went down, you don't know how it went down. Nobody but Jack and Dory know how it went down. So, but that was the fascinating part about wrestling, just knowing the mechanics and the manipulation backstage. And with a thing like the World Championship back then, it meant a lot more than it does now, obviously. But it wasn't just one company that controlled it. It was a governing body. But if you went into a territory and somebody tried to double cross you, you had some cowboys out there who just didn't care, and they'd shoot on you. They'd hook you or try and get a match, try to get a win. I mean, in the match. So,
yep.
I've told you this. I don't have to do it tonight by all means, but I've told you the story with Harley Race and the Lawman in is it Lubbock, Texas? And I asked Harley about that. That was one of the things I got to ask him when Les Thatcher and I went and did a seminar in Eldon, Missouri. We went out on the boat with Harley, and I said, I've got to ask you this. Just like I asked Bruno about Buddy Rogers being in the hospital the night before he won the title. He thought he was working all week in all the clubs. He didn't go in no hospital, you know, and all that. So I
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Did you ever talk to Bruno about that? Did you ever have that chance?
So I interviewed him, got to talk to him. I think it was over an hour. He was great. He was
Yeah,
kind of saying that Buddy Rogers was not very well liked in the WWF. So it
right,
was like quickly get the title off of him. Don't make it a long match. Just kind of squash him and get the title. Like they just didn't like him.
right. So I mean, that's from the horse's mouth. That's from the
Yeah.
guy who did it. That
Yeah.
was from okay.
Yeah.
He has no reason to lie to you. There's
Not
no
that he would
reason to
anyway.
fabricate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, because I remember that I got to have dinner with him and Sal Corrente in Tampa, and I'm sitting across from him, and I told him, so I've got to ask you. I mean, I've been in this a long time. I've watched it my whole life, but I've got to ask you. So anyway, same thing with Harley. I had to ask him.
Yep.
Yep.
And Big Boss Fetty has to ask you, can you ask Tom how it feels to be the brother of the greatest wrestling executive ever to work in the business? How did Tom influence Bruce? The greatest executive. Wow.
Yes, yes. Well, every day I wake up, I'm honored and I feel grateful for this opportunity to be the brother of the greatest wrestling executive to ever work in the business. So, it's a touchy thing at times, and it's one of those things that I carry around on my back. But I've got broad shoulders. The Boss Fetty. I'll just call you BB. How's that, man?
Do you want to induct him into the Hall of Fame if when he
No,
gets there?
I don't. I don't. I really don't. You know, it's like I'd rather have somebody like I don't know, the Undertaker. Dude, what do you
Right.
think? Okay,
Yeah. It might turn into more of a roast. You know what I mean?
no, no. I think Taker would have better material than I would anyway, though. So
Glenn's very
all
smart.
for a roast, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to politics, he says Norvell again. Norvell Austin, Dwayne
Ah,
Norvell Austin says
yes.
Kane's very smart. Jason says since he's mayor, do you ever call him Citizen Kane as a rib?
No, actually, no, I haven't. You know, I called him Mr. Mayor a couple times in the beginning, and then I said, no, no, this is it's Glenn. You know, I know it's Mr. Mayor, but no, it's Glenn. So not even Citizen Kane.
Do you remember 2006 when they did the Kane and versus Imposter Kane storyline? It was actually Luke Gallows. Doc Gallows was the Imposter
Yeah,
Kane. Tomorrow is May 19th, which of course Kane made that into a very infamous day because he was promoting his movie See No Evil. May
right.
19th. Remember he kept saying what's the deal with May 19th? Everyone kept asking him. So Ian England wants to know, do you remember the feud between fake Kane
Yeah,
and real Kane?
yeah, actually I do, and I think that was another unforgettable angle, wasn't it?
Yeah,
A lot of
they
it was.
dropped it quick. Yeah.
So for whatever reason, but I another guy, one of my favorite guys, is Luke Gallows. He just since I met him as the freaking deacon the first time, he's he's one of those guys that is fun to have around, fun to be around, and hell of a worker too.
El
Insane.
Nino says, I love hearing your insight, Dr. Tom. Thank you so much. Nice.
Oh well, it's El Nino and the Nacho Man, so I like it, man. Thanks, John. I appreciate you. A great job with the show. Hold on, B double B. I think there's an H in there too. You know, am I wrong or right? Is there an H in John?
Sometimes.
That's my point. There's no
Sometimes.
consistency. There's no consistency.
For me, always, but other people sometimes there's an H in
No,
there.
I'm not
Yeah.
accepting that. That's not acceptable. Go ahead. What are we doing?
Look at this. Tom would beat Bruce in a shoot. Oh my God.
Hmm.
There's always comes back to you and Bruce in a shoot. I don't know why. It's
I think because people have different ideas and recollections than I do. And as I keep moving on forward, all I realize is I can do what I can do now. If I could beat Bruce in a shoot, I really don't believe that would mean a whole lot and it wouldn't pay much at all. So therefore, I've got to look at that aspect of it. Other people won't see it for the fact just saying that they thinking that could happen. Well, um, I'm not so presumptuous that I would say I know what would happen or who would win. I know what would happen. Definitely know what would happen. I don't know who would win, but I do know what would happen.
Was Kane in the UWF? Yeah, he was in UWFI actually, right? Wasn't he doing some of that shoot fighting over there in Japan?
I don't know. I really don't know. I
I
thought you were talking
believe
about
he was in.
UW.
I think he
Oh,
was in UWFI in Japan because or maybe Fujiwara Gomi. I know he did some of that Japanese. He knew he was in a couple of the Japanese
okay.
wrestling
I
leagues. I know.
Yeah, I honestly God don't know.
I have to
I was
find
doing
out.
I was over here when he was doing it over there. If anything,
Hey, you went over there a few times.
a few had a great time over there. Every time, have you ever had Korean barbecue?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, then yes. So every time,
There's a place not far from me in Asbury that has pretty good Korean barbecue.
no doubt, no doubt. We ate a few times. I couldn't tell you whether we're in Connecticut, but yeah, every time go to Japan, that was definitely places we hit up when we had a chance.
Yeah. So he was in Fujiwara Gomi, PWFG.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
So he had a couple fights. He actually fought Fujiwara a few times and Ishikawa. Wow. Okay. All right. And
No,
Daisuke Akita. So he had a few matches there.
yeah, I don't want to fight him at all. I'm good with that. I'll I'll stick to what I'm doing.
Yeah. He's pretty big boy.
No doubt, he is.
Here's a question, not Kane related, but something I definitely wanted to ask you anyway. What are your thoughts on Sunny? Obviously, she's
Man,
back in jail. They took away
yeah,
the bail, I guess was said, and they took it away.
yeah, we could really do a whole show on this, and I don't want to go off on
Yeah,
a tangent. I don't
yeah,
want to do that, but yeah, I think it's good that finally because she just wasn't shutting up. She was getting on Twitter. That's the only one I saw, and people would actually. I have two friends who can't wait to send me Sunny stuff, and I don't. Yeah, they want to know. What do you think about this? She keeps right about when she was on Twitter, and it would be about the OnlyFans, and she wouldn't shut up about it. There was no remorse, none.
yeah,
I mean, you don't even. She's not even acting like she cared. It was. Where do you find any kind of sympathy or empathy for her? She got this shit eating smirk on her face and her mugshot, and she doesn't care. She doesn't care, and I don't think she would have given a damn if she got behind the wheel again. So that's what I think about Sonny. I hope she finds some peace. I really do. I hope she finds some peace in life, and I hope even if it's behind bars, because if she ever gets out, I think it'll be a travesty. That's what I think.
man, that judge was great because basically it was just saying like you're a detriment to society. We can't have you out there.
Yeah.
People aren't safe if you're out there because you don't have a license. You're suspended. All of a sudden, you're getting a car and you're driving again. So it's a great job by that judge. Nixing that
Yeah,
bail.
but how about showing some kind of humility or remorse? How about at least say, have you? How? I, I don't know. It's got to be demon possession or spiritual warfare going on with her because she's oblivious. She's
Yeah.
oblivious. It was sad. It's still sad, and I hate to even spend a minute talking about her. But my thoughts on Sunny is she's going to rot in jail. I hope.
Yeah, they better not let
Yeah,
her out. It's just
never let
crazy.
her out. Please don't let her out. She's nothing doing nothing productive in society. There's nothing. She's not um, doing better. She's not changed anything about her. Some of the stuff I read on Twitter that she wrote, and it's about the OnlyFans stuff. I get it, but then if that's the way you feel, rotten hell. That's how I feel. Man, even look, and see, because I got to say this too. Even when Chris was alive, um, and I've said this before on other podcasts and interviews, she was not a nice person. And when Chris was alive, she didn't know what she had. Let me restate that. She didn't care what she had. And Chris was one of those people who actually cared about her. She never reciprocated. She never gave it back. Um, and now when she's killed, actually, now she's killed somebody for real. So, what do you say to that? She's not even sorry. She's never said I apologize. She's never shed a tear. Not that we've seen. Maybe she has. Maybe she's cried herself to sleep every night. I highly doubt it. So what do you say to that? What there are just some evil, nasty, unfortunate souls out there, and she's one of them.
And I can finally kind of say this now that she's cannot go crazy about it. But
Come and break in your house.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, or run me over, or whatever the hell whatever
yeah.
she likes to do. So a few guys, wrestlers that I know, were at Chris Candido's funeral, and they said like you could see this person just doesn't care, flirting with Billy Gunn, flirting with this guy, like doing it. It's like, come on, like what a scumbag.
I was there too.
Oh,
I was at the funeral and I saw the same thing, and I just went, Jesus Christ. And yeah. So I've known people like her in my life. I've had people like her in my life. That's why I'm so over it. I really am. I'm over it, man. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. Back to Kane, though. Michael Collins. How did Kane keep his head up through the days of being the new Diesel, and then obviously in WWF as well? He's saying USWA, WWF stuff.
Well,
how do you keep his head up?
The most important thing in wrestling is attitude, my opinion. And when you have somebody who's talented, who is as talented as Glenn Jacobs, you don't want to let them slip through your fingers without trying to help them. Nobody knows what they're getting into until they get into it in WWE. You can talk about it all day long, but until you're actually right there in it, whether you're talent or you're a writer or agent, whatever it may be, it sounds great until you get there and you realize you don't know what you bit off. You don't. And Glenn finally, was talented enough to where I think more than one person came up to him and said, here's how it's going to go. And you're going to get an opportunity. You just have to be there when it's time. And that's the course he had to take. So he kept his head up because he's got a great attitude. And he kept his head up because he believed in himself. He had confidence, and everybody else had confidence in him too. They were telling him this to say, look, and if it wasn't Vince directly, it was indirectly through the top guys who knew what to tell Glenn, knew to tell him, don't get discouraged. You're going to get an opportunity because that's the way it works. The cream rises to the top. Talent will shine through. You have to have confidence. You've got to have a performer's ego, and Glenn had that and more. So you got to look the part. Who else looked the part of a Glenn Jacobs? He's imposing. He's intimidating. He's a spectacle. And as Kane, he walking down the aisle, he wasn't 5'5" or 5'9". He was 6'11". So he's a big guy. And when he walked down the aisle, you couldn't help but notice his presence. He commanded attention. So that's how he did it. He loved what he was doing and did it.
Barbara, did anyone ever rib Kane, or was he too big and intimidating?
I'm sure there have been a few ribs, but just harmless ribs. No real nasty stuff. Glenn can take a joke. He can take a rib. But I'm sure he'll pay you back. I don't rib and I don't want to be ribbed, but some people don't care. And yeah, I'm sure Bradshaw or maybe Taker or Paul Bearer, but nothing serious. Or maybe they didn't. I don't know. We never really talked about it. But
Michael says Christian did, punched him in the stomach in the airport and then ran off. Sounds about right.
Well, I never heard that one, but I'm not saying it didn't happen because because they were ribbing back then. I don't know.
What is the legacy of Kane? Obviously, his career may not be over. Who knows? I know a few people in the chat were saying he should show up in England or maybe Saudi Arabia and be on one of those big shows again. But what do you think is his legacy on wrestling?
Certainly groundbreaking and one of the two greatest gimmicks of all time. You have to say that one of the two. I mean, Kane and Undertaker. You can't get a better story than that. You can't. And I think he's going to be remembered as always in that group with the Austins, the Rocks, Taker, Kane, um, the Shawn Michaels, the Triple H's, and Mankind's, and things like that. He's there. He's that guy. He's in that crew. He's in that group. When you think of the Undertaker, you'll always see Kane somewhere or think about Kane too, and that's his legacy. He made an imprint in professional wrestling. He's going to be one of those guys when you talk about modern wrestling and great gimmicks, great attractions, money drawing attractions. He's right up there with the Undertaker.
Let's answer a few of these just random questions for you, Dr. Tom. If you could form a tag team with anybody in today's wrestling, who would you pick as your partner?
Wow. I haven't really thought about that, but gosh, Randy Orton. Yeah.
Good choice. Good choice.
Talented, smart guy.
Dr. Hate, Tom versus Brother Love. Book it. Interesting.
Interesting. But I have no hate. I couldn't be well, take that back. I'll channel something. Go ahead. Sorry.
What is your best Jerry Gray?
Jerry Gray. I have got to call Jerry Gray. He's in Tampa or Florida, and he's had some problems too through the years. Jerry was a great guy. I met him in Portland, and he was a lot of fun. I remember him being like me when I started, kind of quiet, didn't want to rock the boat. But as he found his confidence, he learned. He learned how to play the game. He was the Maharishi in Memphis. He played like a monk or something with a tambourine and put the money, pass the tambourine around for money. Forget what it was. It was one of those guys, the guys that would play the tambourine. Buddhist monks, kind of like that. But my best Jerry Gray story, I guess. Ooh. Well, yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. I can't, because I'm seeing how it began and know how the ending was, and I don't know that I want that out there. I don't think Jerry wants it out for public.
Yeah, don't get Jerry in trouble either. Here.
Yeah. No, we had a good time. We really did. I can't think of any specific stories right now, but we really did. We lived in the Bomber together. He lived in number 1. I lived in number 2. And there were these little cabins in kind of a horseshoe outside of Portland, and the Guru, outside of Portland, Milwaukee, Oregon. And he had the first cabin, which was probably the nicest. Then I had the second nicest, I think, which was number 2. They were all nice. It was just, for me, it was a perfect setup. And when we travel, we just had to go out the door. He'd be at my place, I'd be at his place, whatever it may be. And we had a great summer. We really had a good time over there.
Gotta love it. Gotta love those days.
Yeah, it was great.
Do the toughest guys control the locker room, or is it the best politicians?
Well, I don't know about these days, but the guys with the most respect and the guys that knew how to talk to, I think, the majority of the guys all the guys had to trust him and respect the guy. So I'm sure you had to have toughness to get respect, but the same thing goes as you give respect, you earn respect, and then you get respect. And that's been the recipe for as long as I've been around, as long as I've known. He had to be a tough guy, but at the same time, sometimes the leader in the locker room was friends with the toughest guy. Didn't have to be necessarily tough, but he had to be smart. And he had to be trustworthy to a point where the guys felt if there was an issue and they couldn't go to Vince or they couldn't go somewhere, um, talk to the guy who can and see what you need to do. Because he usually knew. He had already been there. He had already followed those steps. So
From Matt Classic, Tom, when you were working for Watts around 85, you faced Hacksaw Duggan in the TV tournament. You just walked out after 3 minutes. Why?
because I was a heel, and I got to tell you, I lost so much valuable learning time with Bill Watts that I wish I would certainly do it differently if I went back. And there's plenty of reasons why I did what I did the way I did it, and that's why when I get to that point in the book that I've tried to do, I just go, "Oh no, nobody needs to know this. No, nobody past who already knows. Just leave it alone and let's talk about something else." Because I feel so uh, stupid and ridiculous for not knowing what I had right there. Right there. Cornette talks about it being a boot camp for wrestling. I mean, it's perfect. Just to get that knowledge from Bill Watts, Ernie Ladd, and others that were there. I got knowledge, no doubt. I did, and I got some information, but not like I should have. Not, I didn't. I didn't. I was stupid. Let me just say it like that. So that's why I walked out, because Bill Watts actually came to me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about being a heel?" And I said, "Every day." And he goes, "I can see that when you walk through the ring." So we did an angle with Tim Horn. And then as that was going on, I believe this was during the time. I don't necessarily remember the match. I remember another match Duggan and I had in Houston where he took a chair and was going to swing, and I was supposed to move, and he hits the corner post on the outside. And I moved, and Jim told me before we went out, he says, "Make sure you move because I'm going to bring it." And I said, "I got you." So that was a timing thing too as a heel. And if this was on TV, yeah, this was on TV in the TV tournament. I think that was just an idea to give me another opportunity and walk out and be that guy. So that was all that was. Yeah, I regret a lot of things, but not being as involved as I should have been in asking and learning from Bill Watts and Ernie Ladd is one of the things that I look back on and just shake my head going, God, man, Brad Armstrong. Ernie Ladd put over Brad Armstrong because he not only respected his father, but he had great respect for Brad. That says a lot because Brad was maybe 5'10", 5'11", and Ernie was the king in Mid-South. Ernie had been there forever, and he could do what he wanted, and he wanted to put the belt on Brad. Bob Armstrong had the North American title, and so did Brad, and he made money. And DiBiase was there, Duggan was there. Oh my God, it was Dr. Death. And I got to know those guys a little bit better, but at the same time, read the book.
Dr. Tom from Fred, did you intentionally do the head scratch? Used to crack me up.
Well, yeah, I had to do something. It's like Ricky Bobby. What do I do with these hands?
Yeah.
What do I do with these hands? So I figured, well, I had long hair. It was something to, why would you do that? You got fleas? As a matter of fact, I did. And they keep me company night in, night out. So, yeah, that was it.
From Dave, last week, Dr. Tom mentioned Crusher Verdeaux. I've seen him wrestle Bruno at the Philadelphia Arena. Lou Albano was his manager.
Yeah, that's what I mean. For some reason, Crusher Verdeaux was. I remember I remember in the magazines Bruno versus Crusher Verdue, and I remember him being in California too. So, just one of those names, one of those things. For whatever reason, it's yet to present the answer to me. I don't know why, but Crusher Verdue is just one of those guys that I remember had a program with Bruno, maybe one match, maybe not even a program, but he worked with Bruno, and it was in the magazine on the front cover. And I thought, interesting.
Yeah. Jimmy Smith. I wonder if it's Jimmy Smith from WWE. My first wrestling match live I saw on TV, Dr. Tom versus Professor Tanaka, 81 or 82. I think that was his name. It's been a while.
Yes, Toro Tanaka. I think that must have been in Houston, or it might have been in California, because I saw him in California too. And I remember I came up on an interview where they were doing something, and Paul told me to bring this hat up and give it to him, and I had one too, and we're going to have a little confrontation. But I think I probably worked with him that night, if anything. So yeah. Anyway, you were just telling me that, but Tanaka was a guy I watched growing up too, and we have the. Have you ever seen Friday Night in the Coliseum, the book?
No, I don't think so. I got to get that book.
I got to go. I'm leaving. Okay. Anyway, no. Yeah. So it's a book this guy did in 1972 of all these matches in Houston. He was given access and all this stuff. College professor Jeff Winningham. There's a book. There's a picture in the book that Paul Bosch took of Mil Mosquera's doing a crossbody on Toru Tanaka. We have it on the wall now at JPWA. So anyway, that's a deal about Tanaka. He was a very nice man. He really was a nice man. So.
One last question here from Rick. What are your memories of Brett Sawyer in Portland?
Well, Brett's another guy I had a lot of fun with. He really did. He lived at the Bomber for a while, then he went to Vancouver. But he had been there before, and he was there when I should have been there earlier on. I stayed in LA. But really, I mean, I had some really good times with Brett. I remember one time we camped out before the match, went and set the tent up somewhere in Portland or somewhere in Oregon. I don't remember what it was, and went and worked, and it started raining. Brett had his dog. We were getting in his camp. It's soaked. The dog is restless, doesn't want to stay there. We stay there the next morning, get up. Man, it was miserable, but we had a good time.
And one final question for me. What do you think about Ric Flair making his return to the ring for StarCast? JCP Promotions, for some reason, somehow, maybe David Crockett gave him the reason to use it, or maybe he's involved, but the JCP Promotions.
I'll be right back, and I'll tell you.
Oh, cool. Okay, Dr. Tom will be right back. Gene Simmons says Kiss continue with new people wearing the makeup. Could WWE do the same with the Kane character? Interesting. I don't think so, because they tried with the fake Kane in 2006, and I don't know, even though it was Luke Gallows under the gimmick, and he's a great wrestler, but I just don't think it would work. I think you just got to do a new character and go a different direction with it. Even when they have the other guys with Kiss, it can be the same, but it's not the same as the original, as the original guys in the band. Kiss rules the world. I totally agree. I love Kiss. Saw them a couple years ago. Man, they were awesome. What a stage show! I mean, the pyrotechnics. Gene Simmons goes off on the roof. Paul Stanley's flying along, and I love some Kiss. I know Dr. Tom loves Kiss as well.
I had to change the tips of my shoelaces real quick. So anyway,
yes,
so Ric Flair, what was that?
Go back to Flair.
Kiss? What was that?
No, Kiss rules the world. Yeah, I was just answering somebody's question about Kiss.
Oh, okay, fantastic, good. Well, I knew you would talk amongst yourself. Anyway, I think. Oh, Deptford. Yeah, I was just in Deptford, by the way. Anyway, I think Steamboat's not going to do it, right?
Nope.
Steamboat said he was
not.
He's
I
not.
agree with Jake, by the way, about Kiss. Yes. No, but Steamboat says he's not wrestling. It's supposed to be Steamboat, Rock and Roll Express versus Flair and FTR, supposedly, and Steamboat says he's not doing it. He can't.
Well, look. Ricky Morton's 65 years old, and he's a freak. he's a freak of nature. He goes out there. He doesn't have to take the same bumps he took before, but by God, he still has that that ability to go out and work and knows what to do, knows what he can get away with, knows what he can't. And so Flair's 73.
Yes.
If he wants to, if he enjoys performing and he can do it safe, and he's not going to be a Ric Flair match from the 80s, no doubt. But who's he going to work with is my question. And I don't want to see him make a fool of himself in the sense of being a parody. And I hate to see that, but what do you, I mean, Lou Thez did it. Bob Armstrong wrestled till he's 78, but Bob knew what to do too. I don't know. I don't want to see that. That can be sad. I don't want it to be sad, but I think if Rick wants to do it, let him do it. Why? What else makes him happier? What else makes Ric Flair happier these days? Is there anything? So
Right.
so look, he has more years behind him than he does ahead of him. If the promotion or promoters and Conrad and Jim Crockett Promotions want to do it and want to give him a stage to do it on, man, he'd be in a 6-man with FTR and rock and roll. Just the question is, who can do it better than Steamboat and Rick in their younger days? Who's out there? Who is out there now that anybody would care to see Rick fight? Anybody?
I don't know. That's a tough
Steamboat.
question.
Yeah. Who else? Who else did he wrestle? That was a big Nikita. Yeah.
Oh God.
Anyway, that's how I feel about Ric Flair, John. Sorry.
Get Ronnie Garvin out of retirement. I'd love to see that. Come on.
You would.
Oh, I used to love that.
Are you going to come down to Nashville? Are you going to come down to Nashville and see it?
I cannot. Can't go.
Why? You said you'd love to see it.
I know, but I can't.
Why?
I got Rob Zombie.
There's no tea.
I got Rob Zombie tickets that night. That's why.
Oh, no. Stop. You're going to see Rob Zombie over Ron Garvin?
Yes.
You out of your mind, mister. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're no true friend of wrestling.
Yeah.
If it was Ricky Steamboat, you would go.
Maybe Sting, if Sting's allowed. If FTR's allowed, Sting should be allowed. Maybe Sting in rock and roll. That would be awesome. Yeah.
That's genius. That is actually genius. Sting's a good name.
See, good thing it's on Fight TV, because then I could watch it, buy it, record it, and watch it later, which you can do on Fight.
You are not a friend of wrestling, pal. I am so disappointed. Rob Zombie. Zombie is a middle-aged man dressing up in powder and boogeyman shit. That's juvenile, actually.
Come on. Well, I already got the ticket, so I'm like, not going. Right?
I think I'd opt for Rob Zombie too.
But it's really interesting. Obviously, Conrad is Flair's son-in-law, but I mean, it's the Nashville Flair grounds for the weekend. The Horsemen are all showing up to do a stage show and autograph signing.
Great.
So, yeah.
Well, there you go. It's going to be a spectacle. So why not? I mean, let him have his day. Let him have that, because I don't want to say that's all he has, but pretty much right now, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? I know he's living for the moment, and why not make each moment great? Terry Funk. No, I don't think Terry, because Terry will go nuts too. Yeah. Well, it is all about the money, but honest to God, I really think with Flair, it's something he has to do to be able to feel alive. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, that's kind of an opinion, but I love wrestling. I have a passion for wrestling. But man, if I had Rob Zombie tickets, I'm going to Rob Zombie. I don't care how big the event is right now. If I'm going to see something, I want to see an alternative, and I don't want to wrestle. So I can appreciate. That's why I say, man, at 73, he still wants to perform. He still wants to go out there and be Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Can he duplicate what he did when he was 30, 40? Hell, even 50. Don't know. He hadn't worked in how many? 5 years? 10 years? How long has it since been?
2011. So 11 years since he's
11
wrestled.
years.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time. All
Yeah.
right, every 12 years or 11 years. It's all good.
Hey, Connie must be paying him pretty damn good.
Well, I think they're going to do pretty damn good.
Yeah,
If,
oh yeah, I
if
agree.
anything at all, it's SummerSlam weekend, and
Yep.
you're going to have a great pool or group of people to choose from to come and see that. Why not? I mean, the Rock and Roll Express farewell tour against FTR, so they're going to have a blast. And then the team with Ric Flair against whoever it is, Sting, or whoever. Well, why not?
Let's head towards the plugs and talk about your book, A Pro Wrestling Curriculum, Advice, Suggestions, and Stories to Help the Aspiring Pro Get to the Next Level. Tom, where can everybody get the book?
You can get the book at jpwrestlingacademy.com. On the front page, just click it. It will take you to Amazon, and you can order it there. Again, jpwrestlingacademy.com.
Of course, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. Check out the website, tmptempire.com. Follow Dr. Tom on Twitter at Dr. Tom Prichard. You can go to Pro Wrestling Tees, ProWrestlingTees.com, and visit the Dr. Tom store or the JPWA store. Tom, what else you got going on?
Ringgold, Georgia this Saturday night, and be in West Virginia, Nitro, West Virginia, the week after that for Chance Prophet and his promotion up there. So it's going to be a busy next couple weeks.
Nice. Good stuff as always. Thank you, everybody, for the questions. Thank you, everybody, for listening. See you right back here next week for Take You to School. Dr. Tom. See you next week, folks.